President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will not yield to threats with regards to how he exercises his prerogative when it comes to hiring and firing of members of the executive. This follows an ultimatum by DA leader John Steenhuisen that Ramaphosa should fire what he called compromised ministers within 48 hours. Ramaphosa dismissed DA member Andrew Whitfield in his capacity as Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition yesterday. The president says he fired Whitfield because he did not have permission for an international trip he made to the United States. And for more on this, we now cross on live, or rather, we are now joined by presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya. He joins us now via our video link. Vincent, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, let's start off here. When it comes to the president's prerogative, how is that protected within the country's constitution?
Well, good evening and good evening to the viewers. The constitution clearly spells out who has the authority to appoint and remove members of the national executive, and that authority lies with the president solely.
And then, Vincent, I mean, looking at the statement being sent out by yourselves as the presidency, where the president is saying that he will not yield to any threats from the Democratic Alliance leader, John Steenhuisen. What do you make of that statement from the DA, or rather the DA leader, saying that, well, the president should fire compromised ministers, particularly those three ministers, including Thembi Ngadi-Meng, the Deputy Minister for Water and Sanitation, and other ministers? What do you make of the DA leader saying that the president should act within 48 hours or else?
Well, it's an unfortunate conflation of issues and misapplication of the Constitution. Number one, you cannot have a member of the National Executive appointed by the president giving the president an ultimatum. That is wholly inappropriate. Secondly, Mr. Steenhuisen knows very well why Mr. Whitfield was sanctioned in this manner. When he engaged with the president, or rather when the president informed him of his decision, he mentioned the fact that Mr. Whitfield was expecting such a sanction. The president went on to request Mr. Steenhuisen to provide him with a name from the DA that the president will consider and approve for appointment into the national executive, and specifically to this role of Deputy Minister in the Trade and Industry and Competition Ministry. And therefore, it is unfortunate that you will have Mr. Steenhuisen articulating himself in such a manner which demonstrates a complete disregard of the Constitution, which also demonstrates his disregard for the authority of the office of the president.
And Vincent, I mean, looking at some of the statements coming in from Andrew Whitfield, speaking to my colleague yesterday, saying that a line has been crossed by the president following, his dismissal as a deputy minister. One would then also ask, how concerned are you when it comes to, the structure of the government of national unity, and whether it will continue to hold if you are hearing continued threats of this nature, talking about a line has been crossed by the president when he dismissed Whitfield?
Well, I think it is important to highlight or emphasize the fact that the president, in taking this decision, was not informed by any malice against the DA. This decision is not about the DA. It's not about the president's relationship with the DA or his own personal views about the participation and inclusion in the GNU. This is a decision specifically related to a behavior or conduct which is in contrary to the established rules and norms that all members of the National Executive were inducted into and were informed of the need to observe these rules. And so the DA is failing to appreciate that this action and decision taken by the president is specific to the conduct of the individual. What the DA needs to do is to simply just submit a name. They still have the opportunity to participate and add a name in as the president has requested. And so all of those statements are rather unfortunate and demonstrate a very concerning level of contempt for the authority of the office of the president, as well as complete disregard for the exercise of the president's authority in this manner.
Vincent, is the president aware of why Whitfield, took this visit to the U.S.? Were reasons given as to why, he had to be part of the delegation of the DA to the United States?
Well, as you say, it was a DA-mandated trip. It was not a government-mandated trip. Regardless of the reasons for travel and who funds the travel, members of the National Executive are expected to observe the rules as they are with respect to seeking permission from the president before they travel. And so that DA trip was never in any shape or form part of government's broader approach with respect to engagements with the United States government. And so it's something that the DA itself will have to clarify as to why was it so important for the former deputy minister to even go as far as violating the rules that are well known to himself, as well as the rest of the National Executive, to be on that trip.
And Vincent, before I let you go, you keep on saying that, even in your statement, it says that the DA has been asked to submit a name in terms of who will replace Whitfield. Has the DA or John Steenhuisen in particular reached out to you as the presidency to forward some sort of name, particularly at a time where they say that, they will give the public much more information tomorrow? Have you been given a name in that regard?
I spoke to the president about an hour or so ago. When we spoke, he did not confirm with me that he had been given a name, and so the DA has not done so, which is a bit of a concern, because if one really looks at the president's decision from an objective point of view, within its own merit, and the request for the DA to submit a name, it says the president still regards the role of the DA in the GNU as important. He had to take action against an individual member of the National Executive who so happens to be part of the DA. And I think it's also important that we underline the fact that as much as we have members of the National Executive coming from different parties, that on its own does not absolve them of the responsibility that they have and the oath that they took. And so to conflate this as a President Ramaphosa versus the DA issue is completely inaccurate and quite wrong of the DA to do.
All right, Vincent, thank you so much for your time. That's Vincent Magwenya, presidential spokesperson there, just giving us his reaction to what the DA has said to the president, giving him an ultimatum, saying that he should fire 3 ministers. Those include Thembi Simelane, Nobuhle Nkabane, as well as David Mahlobo, of course, saying that they are compromising the cabinet. And of course, they also, Magwenya, highlighting issues around the latest move by the president, saying that this is an issue of an individual and not of the party.